Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Kylie, and I'm so happy that you guys are here today. This is such a fun video. I'm so excited. Also, I'm in love with this setup, the mood lighting, the lights behind me, I'm cozy. You guys should get cozy. I'm gonna grab this blanket. And today we are talking about deep things, baby. We are going in. We are like girls after midnight at a sleepover kind of talking. You already know. I have 10 questions written down that I thought would spark some good conversation between us, and I do want this to be a conversation. One of my goals for this year was to have you guys get to know me on a deeper level, so I thought what better way to start off than answering some really thought-provoking questions. Personally, I love having deep convos. I think they're worth having. I think it's so fun to just talk to my friends and family about random things, that just great conversation that everyone's enthralled in. So that is what I thought these 10 questions would do for me and perhaps you in the comments. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started. The first question is, what do I value most in a friendship? And one of the first words that comes to mind is honesty. I need a friend who will tell me how they really feel about things and not just beat around the bush. I love someone who is very direct and says what they mean. I really need that because that's something I do for myself, is I don't really dance around certain topics, or I will tell you how I feel. I will. And you will be very clear on how I feel about things, and so that's just something I expect from my friends as well. I don't want them to have to feel like they have to say something around me or that they'll hurt my feelings. No. It is so hard to hurt my feelings. All my friends are like that as well, so that's something I look for. I also love when my friends bring out my more extroverted side, my crazy side, my side that loves to have adventure and fun. That's probably the Sagittarius in me, but I need a friend who will go on crazy adventures with me and encourage me to do things that are outside of my comfort zone. I love when a friend does that for me, because that is how I kind of help myself get out of my comfort zone and push myself to do things, is with help of my friends. The next question is, who was my childhood crush? Robert Pattinson. Always has been, always will be. Love Robbie, my man. It's literally a running joke with my friends. Like, we love Robert Pattinson in this household, so ever since 2008, when the first Twilight movie came out, that man stole my heart, and no other man has stole it since. Also, a really close second runner-up is young Leonardo DiCaprio. He is a little old for me now, but him, like, in his Titanic years, say less. Alright, next one. What is the most non-physical pain you've ever been in? And I only chose this one because I knew my answer the second I chose it, or the second I read it. In high school, one of my classmates passed away in a car accident. I was 16 at the time, and I went to her wake, and there was an open casket. And I don't think I can describe the mental pain I was in when I saw that. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't know going into that room that it would affect me the way that it did. And that's probably my closest thing to, like, childhood trauma, was seeing that. It still gets me to this day. I can't look at open caskets. I can't do them. I can't. But that kind of heart-wrenching, horrible pain was the first thing that I thought of, and I was like, okay, well, that answers that question. So the student's name was Kira. She, like I said, was in my class, and I grew up in a very small school, so we had I think I graduated with like 124 or 126 people. So that can kind of tell you the size of my school. We all knew each other. Everyone knew at least we all knew each other's names, and we all probably knew at least one thing about each person in my grade. So Kira's death was very hard hitting on my class because we all knew her and we all knew each other, and like we were also, I hate to say it, but it was something that really brought my grade together. Like, we were already a really close class, and this is something that I've learned like after the fact, but also things that I heard from my teachers in high school. They said, like, your class is one of the most tight-knit, close classes they've had seen, is what they told us. And so that whole situation was like really, really, really hard on a lot of us. But that's the most non-physical pain that I've been in, was the open casket at the wake. So on a lighter note, let's bring the mood back up a little bit, shall we? Is it easier to hate or love? Now, this is, I thought, a really interesting question, because I was like, well, should I answer for myself or should I just answer in general? Because those are different. I think in general, it's so much easier to hate. It's so easy to pick out things that you don't like about other people and find differences, and it's just, in that regard, it's so much easier to hate people. But for me, in my personal life, I find it so much easier to love. I find that I have to put so much energy into physically not liking someone. If that makes sense. Like, I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to hurt my feelings. It's also takes a lot for me to not give someone the benefit of the doubt. And I think that comes off in my relationships as I'm a very forgiving person. I try really hard to understand where the other person's coming from on a lot of things. And so in that regard, it's way easier for me to love. I love everything. I love everyone. Not everyone. There are some people, but I'm talking in a majority situation. I find it so much easier to love than to hate. But I think a lot of people in our society, not to be like we live in a society, but I think a lot of people find it way easier to hate, which is kind of sad. Number 5, what's our biggest mistake as humans? I thought this question was so thought-provoking. I love this question. And I think my answer is our hubris and our ego. Like, this is kind of a lot of like, we live in society, blah, 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 which we do. So I don't know why that's not a valid argument, but our society is so egotistical and self-driven, and it comes off in almost everything that we do. To think so highly of ourselves in everything as just a race in general. No one put us on that pedestal. We put ourselves there. The way we assert dominance over other species is really apparent, and I think we let it get to our heads a little bit. I'll give you guys an example because I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense. I think it is, but just for like example, we have built these huge cities and so many technological advances and things, and that could all be torn down in minutes. Literal minutes. An asteroid could hit Earth and we'd be gone. A disease can come like a plague and take us all out. A tsunami wave could hit and take out entire towns. And the fact that we think we're so high and mighty over nature in that regard, I can't get behind it. I think it's such a huge mislabel of our human race to think that we're above everything else. Like, back in the summer, I read an article saying how in the next 10 years, I think, there's going to be this solar flare, this huge solar flare, that's going to take out a majority of our, like, electricity systems, and that's going to take down our entire, like, electrical grid. And that article literally made me think, what would our society do without electricity and without power? We would crumble. We literally would. Like, the way things are now would be completely flipped over if we didn't have the technology and things that we think are so accessible in our hands. Like, it takes one little thing to derail, for example, our power grid, and everything would just go to shit. We wouldn't know what to do, especially people in my generation. Like, imagine not being able to go on your phone or go on the TV and hear the news that there was a solar flare and there's no power anymore. We wouldn't know what was going on. It would be utter chaos, I'm telling you. And I don't know. That's kind of a long-winded answer. We wouldn't know what to do if nature decided to take us out. And so that's why I think hubris is our biggest, because we think that we are just the best and nothing can take us out, and we've asserted dominance over every other species. Shut up. I loved this question too, this next one. In one word, what do you live for? Happiness. Are you religious or spiritual? I talked about this a little bit in my last video. If you didn't go watch it, do it now. Welcome back. But I would consider myself a mainly religious person. I don't hate spiritual beliefs. I think that religion and spirituality actually tie into each other quite a bit. My religious beliefs are Christianity, although I will go on to say that I do not love the idea of organized religion. I think a lot of times that's where things go awry, and that's where there's a disconnect with a lot of people, is when it comes to church and people expecting you to believe what they believe. So I do say that I'm a Christian, and I do believe in God and Jesus and the Bible, but what I don't agree with is a lot of people's interpretations of God. And that's what comes down to organized religion, is that you can ask the 7 billion people on this earth how they think God is, and you'll get 7 billion different answers, which is what's really difficult. So my ideal, my belief is that God loves everyone, and God has made everyone the way that they are, and so we should follow in his footsteps in that way. I don't believe in a vengeful God. I don't believe in an angry God. I think that God... This is kind of weird to share on the internet. I don't know how I feel about this. We're facing our fears here. I'm being open with everyone on the internet. It's fine. I think that everything that has been proven to happen in science is something that did happen scientifically. Obviously, there's a reason that these things happened with the laws of nature. I just think God is the one who set those things in motion. Like, for instance, the Big Bang. I don't get why it has to be one or the other. Like, either God created Earth or there was the Big Bang. I think that God could have set the Big Bang in motion, and that is how he created the Earth. You know, that's just an example of how I think they work together. And I do believe in angels, demons, hell, all that kind of stuff. I'm just not super adamant about those things, and that's kind of where it turns into spirituality as well, as like, who am I to tell other people that their beliefs are wrong just because I grew up a certain way and was taught a certain thing, and just that's how my mind works. Like, I could be completely wrong, and I'm totally open to admitting that. I could be 100% wrong. There could be no God, or there could be a different God, or anything, and there's no one to say whether I'm right or wrong, because nobody knows what happens in the afterlife, or before we're born, or any of that. Absolutely nobody knows. And so who am I to tell someone that their beliefs are wrong, because I can't prove it. I can't. And they can't prove that mine are wrong. They may have their ways of thinking, and I have mine, and I don't think that's anything we should hold against people. Because at the end of the day, people need to believe something that gives them hope. And I think that's where a lot of religions stem off of. my belief in God gives me hope that there's an afterlife and that there is something to look forward to when I die. And that's something that gives me hope. And that's kind of what it goes down to. That's kind of all the weight that I put onto it is, I do believe in God. I believe he's a loving God, a forgiving God, and that spirituality and the laws of science and nature are all interwoven in that. It's not a one thing, like, end all be all. So I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want to talk to me in the comments, you can. I'm not going to shut you down for anything. I want to converse with you guys, so this doesn't go for just this question, it goes for all the questions. Just want to let you know. I am just a gal recording a video saying things that I believe in, so I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings or say that you guys are wrong, because you're not. However you feel about anything that I'm saying is right, from your perspective, even if it's not the same as mine. Okay, dokie. Okay, next question. What is your biggest fear? This kind of goes off of what I was just saying. Death. Death is 100% my biggest fear. It horrifies me. And it's not really about, like, the fact that I don't know what's happening after I die. It's more I'm scared of dying without feeling like I've lived. That's more of, I should phrase it that way. I'm scared of dying without having felt that I lived. Do people deserve second chances? Short answer, yes. Long answer, I mentioned this before, I'm a very forgiving person. I will give second, third, fourth, even fifth chances. And a lot of times, I get that people make mistakes. I do. And we just move past it. On the flip side, once I decide for myself that I'm not going to give another person any more chances, my mind is made up. I'm not one to kind of say that I'm not friends with someone, blah, and then go back to them. I'm not at all. Like I said before, I will say what I mean, and I mean what I say. So if I decide that I'm done with someone, I'm done with them. And there's no going back for me. I will completely move on. Not that it isn't hard for me in some regard. It is. Like, obviously, relationships are very difficult at times. And I find myself, if I think someone's mad at me, oh my god, I tear myself up. I'm like, what did I do wrong? What did I say? Oh my god, this person hates me. I'm a horrible person, blah, blah, blah. And that's just from someone's tone being off, or like, I overthink in that's probably the only thing I overthink on, is like, oh my god, I made this person mad, what do I do? Like, I need to apologize immediately, and half the time it's like they're not even mad at me. I just think that they are, because I'm so terrified to say the wrong thing or hurt someone's feelings. I hate that. And so that comes off in a lot of my conversations, but I do give second chances. I am very willing to work with people and listen to them. But like I said, if they don't get any more chances, then they aren't getting any more chances. So it really just comes down to being that loving, kind person that I want to be, knowing that we're just human and people make mistakes and things happen like they are meant to. Okay. Here we go. Last question. I love this one. Are we alone in the universe? No. Absolutely not. Could not convince me for 1 second that we aren't. From a purely, like, scientific standpoint, how can we look at the billions of stars in our galaxy and the millions of planets and the vastness of the world outside of Earth and think, there's no other living creature on any of those planets? How can you say that with absolute certainty? Are you kidding? I very much disagree. We're not going to get into it, but I did have a whole alien obsession back in, like, high school when I started watching the X-Files. It was really bad. It was a huge alien phase. I find now that I'm a little bit older than I was in high school, that I am more of a skeptic than I thought I was. Like, I say that I want to believe, but then, for example, if I watch, like, alien caught on tape videos or whatever, I go, no, that's fake, wrong, that could be this, that could be that, like, UFO, no, it's probably, like, blah, it's probably playing it. So, I don't know if I really do want to believe or if I just say that. In all seriousness, there are aliens. And I don't classify an alien as, like, a little gray person. I think any living being that doesn't live on Earth would be considered an alien. And I'll go as far to say that I think that God is an alien, technically, because he's never lived on Earth. He was never a physical being, and so that, by definition, makes him an alien. So we are not alone in the universe. There's absolutely no way we could be. And I will stand by that. Oh my gosh, you guys, this was so fun. I loved talking to you guys about all of this stuff. I really hope you learned something about me in this video. I'm sure you did, because there were a lot of things that I was kind of scared to share, but I did anyway. We powered through. Please leave your comments down below on your thoughts on any of these questions, and I will leave it at that. I think this was so fun. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it to this part in the video, I love you so much. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye.